during the call, when Rabel's describing plays, I try not to make noises, but every once in a while, like on a play like that, I'm like, oh, look at that. Hey, it's time for Football 101. Seahawks coming off just a dominant win, 44-13, and a lot of it has to do with this right here. We're not going to talk about scheme or anything. We're just going to talk about pure brute strength. And a couple of guys that I love on this defense, we're going to break this down, but Jarran Reed and Leonard Big Cat Williams. Those two guys have just done some things, and I almost, like I said last week, almost jumped out of the booth when Robbie Oots got the knock down the two linebackers, and it was pretty similar with Jarran Reed and Big Cat and Byron Murphy for that matter too. But before we get into these plays, where does that strength come from? It comes from your hips. I had a lot of people ask me when I was in football, they had bringing up a kid who's, playing football, like what's the best lift? And I always told them power cleans. Power cleans they're hard to do, but it's much better than bench or anything else because all of your power comes from right here in the dumper. And there's a guy right there who's using it. He used it 58 times this year, the big dumper there. But that's your power source right there. That's what we call it instead of calling it something else. So that's when you look at players. A lot of times when I was in camp, I'd see a guy come in and he was all buffed up and everything, and then I'd see in his football pants like the guy's got no butt, he's got no legs, he's got no power source. That's where that comes from. So yeah, the bench press and curls and all that looks great and everything, but power cleans to me. Also, by the way, if there's any kids out there watching, like what should I do to get ready for football? Another one, jump rope. It's your brain telling your feet over and over and over what to do. And then also I used to juggle. When I was an all-state tight end, I caught everything in high school, and then I stopped juggling, and I went to the NFL, and I had 3 interceptions in 9 years, so maybe I should have kept juggling. Anyway, let's have a look at these plays, and there's one of my favorite players right there on this team for whatever reason. I just think Jarran Reed has the kind of mindset that I had when I played, and it's just very old school, and he's a guy that, is kind of a regulator on this team. Now there's Jarran Reed lined up over a rookie first-round draft choice, Kelvin Banks, and it's going to be his welcome to the NFL moment here. But just look at, not technique so much, and we will get into, technique, but also just staying low, using your hands, and just the way that Jarran Reed just abuses this guy. First-rounder, don't care. I'm going to bench press you into the backfield. So just an amazing start right there. You can see his hips are lower than Banks, and that's the low man wins every time. And there you see he's starting to get the bench press, and really he's at a point now, he's so far under Banks that he is able to just kind of push him all the way back, and he's just dominating right there. And then you see that he pushes him into the ball carrier there, and that's Alvin Kamara. And that guy, he was good for like 180 yards all-purpose the last 3 times the Seahawks played against Alvin Kamara, and he only had 56 yards yesterday total. So part of it because of that. And then Jay Reed goes and finishes the tackle there. So yeah, it's just here he is. Look at that big arm just wrapped around Kamara. It's not going anywhere. The next guy, Leonard Big Cat Williams, just an amazing athlete from the standpoint of he's 6'5", he's like 320 pounds, and he can play anywhere on the defensive line. And I see him lined up inside, I see him lined up off the edge, so he's just an incredibly hard player to deal with. Here he is lined up in between the guard and the tackle, and we'll see him come out of his stance here because I'm thinking he's going to be just a little bit lower than these guys. These guys kind of not great technique. I mean, you got to have your power source a little bit lower there, and I guarantee you that you can't win a battle like that, and you can't split a double team if you're not lower than the guy that's trying to block you. So he gives up just a little bit and kind of stands up there, but then he just finds a way to reach through, and that's a move that a lot of defensive linemen use, where they try to get that arm hooked on the tackle's arm, and that way he he can't use that arm. So you're kind of taking that away from him, and just great technique by him. And then he just reaches out his big paw. I really like the way that he just kind of, he picked up Kamara like he was a doll. I mean, just kind of picked him up and then slammed him to the ground here, and that helps a little bit. See the guy's legs up in the air. I mean, just love that. And a couple of times, you know, I try to, during the call, when Rabel's describing plays, I try not to make noises, but every once in a while, like on a play like that, I'm like, oh, look at that. So anyway, get so fired up. And then speaking of fired up, I just love this guy. And when he does his celebration where he bares his teeth like that, I mean, the guy is just a beast. I love watching him play. So those two guys, and look, a lot of this, the scheme that Mike McDonald runs, it's, you know, it's very complicated. A lot of guys say you got to have a PhD in football to understand it. But really, at the very core of what he is teaching is just physicality. And these two guys, Jarran Reed and Leonard Williams, are the absolute poster boys for physicality.